Bakersfield, check.
Modesto, check.
Guess we won't start. Good morning and welcome to our meeting of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Governing Board. We have board members participating in person at our offices in Fresno, Bakersfield, and actually our Modesto colleagues are with us today, so welcome. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation via Zoom and webcast. Before we begin, here are some important guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices, such as your cell phone. During the meeting, all public participants will be placed on mute by the host. Public members will not be able to mute or unmute manually. Audio for members of the public will be unmuted once they are recognized to make a public comment. After each item, the chair will announce public comment. The clerk will recognize any public attendee who has indicated they wish to speak. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, good morning. Mr. Chiesa,
I'm here.
Mr. Couch, Ms. Escutia Brayton,
Here.
Ms. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. McCauley,
Here.
Mr. Mendez,
Here.
Dr. Pacheco Warner, Mr. Pereira,
Present.
Mr. Preciado,
Here.
Mr. Reyna,
I'm here.
Mr. Rickman, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Sheriffs,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Shuklian.
Here.
To the chair, we have quorum.
Thank you. We'll now have our Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Supervisor Pereira to lead us in that today.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first item is approval of the consent calendar. These items are routine in nature and are usually approved by a single vote. Prior to action by the board, the public will be given the opportunity to comment on any consent item. Do
Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar in Bakersfield?
No public comment in Bakersfield?
Thank you. Modesto, do you have any public comments?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you. Any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? Seeing none and none online.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
Moved it.
To approve.
Second.
Did you get that?
Okay.
She's quick. Then Bobby.
All right. I'll call roll. Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Ms. Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
I vote aye.
Mr. Preciado,
Yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs,
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Shuklian.
Aye.
Through the chair, motion passes.
Thank you. Public comment. This time is made available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction. It is requested that no comments be made during this period on agenda items 8 through 11. The public may make comments on these agenda items during the time allowed for public comment on those items. Attention is called to the fact that the board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Do we have anybody like to speak for public comment today?
Do we have any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? Okay, I'm going to go online. Connie Young.
Good morning, Connie.
Good morning and happy first day of spring. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Well, I'm Connie Young, Fresno resident, retired registered nurse and volunteer with Citizens Climate Lobby, also known as CCL. I also serve on the board of the Environmental Collaborative of Central California, or EcoCenCal, which hosts our region's annual Earth Day celebration known as Earth Day Fresno. First, I'd like to express my appreciation to Representatives Valadeo and Fong, who recently signed on to a letter in support of clean energy tax credits. A group of 21 House Republicans, led by House Climate Solutions Caucus co-chair Representative Andrew Garbarino, sent a letter urging the House Ways and Means Committee to keep clean energy tax credits in place. Among other things, they said that the incentives are helping to boost manufacturing and energy production that will help meet a growing power demand. Here in the Central Valley, we know that clean energy means cleaner air. So I'm grateful to these members of Congress for advocating for both the economic and physical well-being of their constituents. I hope you too are actively lobbying to preserve the clean energy tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act. On a different note, it's my pleasure to invite you to Earth Day Fresno, which will be held on Saturday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Fresno City College. Local environmental nonprofits and agencies, including the Valley Air District, will host information booths. Vendors will have eco-friendly products for sale. There will be kids' activities, live entertainment, and popular food trucks. This community-wide Earth Day celebration is a great way for the public to learn about local environmental issues and about the many ways to reduce waste and pollution and save energy and money. The Fresno Bicycle Coalition will host a bike ride to the event and teach visitors how to fix a flat tire. Citizens Climate Lobby will be having a yard sale there. Proceeds will be used to send local youth to lobby in Washington, D.C. in July. Please join us at this lively and enjoyable event. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, next online, we have Janet Dietzkeme.
Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Janet. Maybe not.
Janet? Okay, we'll come back to her. Do we have any public comments in Bakersfield?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Any members of the public in Modesto?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you. Let's try Janet one more time. Janet, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
We can now, Janet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair and Board and staff members. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, changing current agricultural practices is the key to addressing and solving global climate change. As world leaders prepare for the upcoming United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, hosted in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and colloquially known as the Rio Plus 20, much of the world's focus is on reforms to current agricultural practices, specifically transnational activist groups, the United Nations. The supranational organizations like the European Union have all addressed the need to create a sustainable agricultural system in order to prevent massive ecological devastation and global food shortages. Climate change is quickly emerging as a major threat to agricultural production, both globally as well as in the United States. Last summer's drought in Texas, which some experts believe will continue until next summer, has already devastated farms across the state. Similar droughts have struck across the South and Southwest, worrying many farmers who fear that this may be the new climatological norm. Farmers can ameliorate some of the dangers posed by climate change, UN officials believe. According to Jose Graciano da Silva, the new head of the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, agriculture contributes 30% of the greenhouse gases that cause global warming, and we must raise the awareness of our farmers. Agriculture is not just part of the problem, he also stated. It is also part of the solution to the environment issue. It can contribute to a lot of planet sustainable development by finding techniques less harmful to the environment, by helping with clean energy and with a better redistribution of production. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
No further online comments.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 6, which is a report on District Citizens Advisory Committee activities. Mr. Kuna. Oh, microphone. Try that now.
How about now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, Manuel Cunha-Nise, a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee. Good morning, everybody, staff and Samir and team and board members. Before you have the Citizens Advisory Report, we had quite a meeting on March 4th in your packet, various things that Samir spoke about in his report, as well as the plans for or continuation of 617. I think the biggest item was the waiver. When the board, the CAC requested the ARB to present a presentation on the 8 federal waivers that it had requested last year and the years before. And in the document that's in your packet, I believe, pretty much had quite a discussion, and various city representatives, mayors, were greatly concerned about the electrification of the trucks and how they were under the 209 part, or the clean air fleet. Of part of that was removed, not approved, but then ARB approved that all local municipalities were still included. And in that presentation, when a person reported, one of the mayors reported that a clean garbage truck was 1,200,000, and she has a regular tier 4 garbage truck that she has to buy 2 in the city. And it's becoming a great concern by the public of what is going on and the cost. And I think that shows that the waivers, I think from the standpoint of the discussion, was a great concern of economics for the communities, small communities, to afford such a vehicle and those things. So great discussion. Again, the CAC, when it needs CARBs to bring presentations, we are going to request those in writing. So this way we have the right people coming to the CAC from CARB to speak, rather than Laura Carr does a great job, but it's just a report. But to have a discussion, it went on and we ended at about 5 minutes after 12. So we were on good time. Again, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer, but very good debate. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Manuel. Okay, item 7 is to receive 3 awards presented to the district at the Fresno State Transportation Institute 2025 STEP Summit. Jamie.
Good morning. My name is Jamie Holt. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at the district. The district received 3 awards recently at the Fresno State Transportation Institute's 2025 Sustainable Transportation Energy Progress Summit, otherwise known as the STEP Summit. This event took place on March 7th here in Fresno at Valdez Hall and brought together policymakers, engineers, and advocates to discuss sustainable transportation innovation. The district actively contributed by serving as expert panelists in 2 sessions and sharing insights on clean air initiatives at an information booth. And I want to thank various stakeholders, Dr. Pacheco Warner, and others who attended the event and helped us out. The summit celebrated outstanding achievements in transportation innovation, with the district receiving 3 awards. The first award was a project award for the district's grocery operations for carbon emission reductions, which we refer to as the Grocer Project. This award recognized the deployment of over 50 zero-emission Class 8 heavy-duty electric trucks and charging infrastructure in collaboration with OK Produce. OK Produce is a family-owned local produce delivery company that has been in business in Fresno since the 1950s. As a local company, OK Produce has been and continues to be committed to environmental sustainability and reducing their carbon footprint. That award is actually with their president, Brady Matoyan, who was at the event. Next, the district was honored for its leadership in advancing sustainable transportation and air quality policies. helping to secure over 7 billion, that's billion with a B, in funding for grant programs that support cleaner transportation technologies. Our third award was actually for our executive director, Samir Sheikh. He was recognized for thoughtful and balanced leadership in reducing emissions, advocating for the Valley's fair share of clean transportation funding, and helping to shape the Valley's transportation future. These awards reinforce the district's ongoing commitment to pioneering innovative transportation solutions, fostering research-driven policies, finding cost-effective options for local businesses, and improving Valley air quality for all residents. With that, I'd like to present you with these awards. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Jamie? Yeah, absolutely. That's. And I was going to say, you mentioned about our ongoing commitment, and even without awards, I think everybody here at the Air District would be doing the job that they're doing. But it's always nice to be recognized. So congratulations to everybody. And Dr. Sheriffs.
Yeah, I would just add, wonderful to see that recognition, and particularly in that particular forum. But I do have to ask, as the district is known for its efficiency and bang for the buck, and that's a pretty small plaque for $7 billion.
Do you want to say something?
To the chair, yeah, I just wanted to say, how important it is, for the board to be recognized for what is a nation-leading example of, no matter who's in the administration at the federal level, no matter what's happening in Sacramento, the board works really hard to find value propositions in everything that the district does. And I think these awards are really just a reflection of that partnership-based collaborative approach that the board has really put front and center in developing all of our strategies here. So I just wanted to just do a big shout out to the board for all the leadership that you guys continue to exhibit, and the support that you provide to the staff and to all of our stakeholders to be able to keep moving these types of partnerships forward. So just hats off to the board.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Yeah, buddy.
We're only as good as our staff,
Mhm.
And I think your whole team, it's a great team, and you guys make us look great every day. And you've got not only your leaders, your directors, but everybody that works for them. What a team. Very proud of you guys.
Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, I was told, and what we learned, me and Professor McCauley were at Merced last week, and we were told by the CEO of PG&E that I believe 22% of cars in the state are electric cars. So, it shows that we're moving forward to zero emission pollution cars. But like they said, there's still a lot more to go. But great job, good job.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, do we have any public comment on this item?
Are there any public comments in Fresno on this item? Seeing none online. Bakersfield, do you have any public comments?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, do you have any public comments?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Our next item is to provide an update on cybersecurity audit of the district's information system infrastructure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Imtiaz Haq. I'm IT director, and I'm here to provide you an update on our cyber security for the district IT infrastructure. It's all good news. So with that, I will, okay, in June 2024, your board authorized district to hire an independent consulting team to perform an IT infrastructure audit. These audits actually help us assess the compliance and identify system vulnerabilities and any other potential problems. So through a competitive bidding process, we were able to pick one very competitive company called Securance Consulting, and we awarded them the contract, and they started the work in 2024. And This audit was intended to do many things, and through a third-party independent audit, what happens is we are able to find how compliant are we in terms of the federal, state, and local requirements, and also what are the effectiveness of our IT security controls and practices that we look into that. We identify areas of weakness and non-compliance, and so that also gives us the ability to have suggestive corrective actions that we can take, enhance our security posture. And then we bolster our security practices, controls, and mitigate risks through these audits. And then it plays very important role in terms of addressing the increasing threats that we receive through cybersecurity nowadays. So it helps us stay ahead of the curve. So the audit has a focus on two areas. One was to do technical vulnerabilities, look at the entire infrastructure and see what are the technical vulnerabilities on our system. And then also what are the IT processes, how the IT processes are laid out and what are the risks in there. Our auditor, they took a very hybrid and well-seasoned approach, and they customized that for us, in which they applied manual and automated procedures, and they utilize industry standard tools as well in order for them to get the best results. And so that we can look at on both sides of the house, which is the technology aspect and process and procedures. And now I have Paul Ash from Scurance, that was the company that we hired to share some of the results with us. So I'm going to bring him on. Is Paul, are you on? Yes. Okay. Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes. I have your slides up, so please go ahead. If you want to go ahead and share your results with us.
Yes, certainly. Good morning. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for going through the scope of the assessment. I'm here to share with you the results of the work that we did. As I said, we began the assessment Q4 of 2024, and we did a detailed deep dive into several IT process areas, including looking at the security of the data center, assessing the disaster recovery plan, looking at compliance with FISMA, which is the Federal Information Security Modernization Act. Importantly, we looked at the incident response plan and the organization's readiness to detect, protect, and respond to a cyber incident. Our focus was on major large-scale incidents. We also looked at the policies and procedures and social engineering. And then on the technical side, from an IT process perspective, we looked at the software development lifecycle methodology being used, as well as how the organization is protecting its source code. Some of the technical testing that we did, which was focused on identifying vulnerabilities that bad actors attempt to exploit to breach environments, included looking at your internet presence or kind of what the organization looks like to the world, assessing the firewall configuration, doing a database security review, and looking at the internal network security posture, including the wireless network, Internet of Things type devices, which the organization has, and then some web applications. Through all of that work, I would summarize the results as follows. First of all, we looked at 22 unique areas. By and large, all of those areas were deemed effective or well controlled from a security perspective. And it's worth pointing out that the internet presence was superb in that it presented no opportunities for a bad actor to breach the environment. There was one area that we did identify as critical risk, and that relates to the internal network. That's not necessarily unusual. Securance has been doing these types of assessments for 23 plus years. And that result did not surprise us. What I would also share with the members and the board is that as we were working on the engagement, the organization was already in the process of remediating some of those technical vulnerabilities. In terms of comparison, right, we have performed this assessment. And when I say we perform this assessment, I look at it from the perspective of the scope items, the scope of the items. We perform the exact same scope items for other air pollution organizations. And I can share with you that San Joaquin Valley, across the board, had a better cybersecurity posture than the other organizations that we identified. We did obviously identify some opportunities to improve. I think that's one of the reasons why it's important to do these type of assessments. Most of those opportunities were low to moderate risk items, but certainly we came away from the engagement, we came away from the assessment, understanding that management places a focus on cybersecurity. And it's important to note that because a lot of organizations do cybersecurity assessments because it's a check the box item. In this case, it didn't appear to us as a check the box item. It more came across as management places focus and understands the importance of having a secure and controlled environment. So that really summarizes the results of the assessment. And I think if there are any questions, I open it up for any questions.
Do we have any, do you want us to go ahead and ask any questions of Paul? Do you want to,
I can, yeah, we can ask questions from Paul if you have any.
anybody have any questions? Yes. Oh, you just did it.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, gentlemen. Did this review ascertain the vulnerability of employees' usage on a daily basis with opening up emails? You know, we have the situation oftentimes when there's phishing involved and the bad actor briefs or penetrates and just causes havoc and compromises our software. So did this review test, put out faults or testing emails to see whether the end user can distinguish a bad actor or not and know how to deal with it once they do identify it?
Yes, so simple answer is yes, and I'll let Paul give you a little detail how they perform that test.
So thank you for the question. Again, the answer is yes. We did perform simulated phishing tests. Our tests were really driven to try and trick a staff member to provide us with network credentials. We tested 100 and something of the staff, and a very low percentage did in fact either click or provide a credential, but that number was much lower than industry averages and industry norms.
Oh, very good. Congratulations, everyone.
Was it Samir?
Good job. Yeah, I do have one more question, Chair, if I may.
Sure.
The recommendation to purchase additional cybersecurity software and resiliency hardware equipment for not to exceed $328,000. Is that inclusive of the agreement we have with Securance Consulting, or would that be a separate agreement?
Yeah, it is separate. It is our action that we are taking outside that contract based on their recommendation and based on where our security posture is to make ourselves even better than where we are. We think if we take these steps, we will be even better secure, particularly the area they identify, which was the internal network. So we are enhancing some of the equipment in the internal network by doing that.
Okay, but it's under a separate agreement contract.
Yes.
Great.
Correct.
Thank you. No more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Sherris?
Yes, thank you. Thank you both for that presentation. Obviously an area of huge concern because of what a security breach can mean and do to an organization and the trust that we have with the public and people who use our web and portals. It also, good job, great. Well, that was yesterday. You know, 5 minutes from now, the bad guys have a new plan of attack. And in part, my question is answered by the ongoing investment. But clearly, we don't reassess once a year. This is continuous. And I just wonder what comments you have about that.
Yes, so this is to bring somebody outside. So we do on a daily basis, we look at our security, we look at what threats are out there, what we need to do, and we try to stay ahead of the curve, right? No doubt it's a chase, right? So we are very diligent in terms of making our infrastructure, internal and external, secure on a daily basis. What we were doing was think, hey, let's not get overconfident about our own self. Let's bring somebody else to look at our infrastructure and say, how are we? How are we doing? That's what Paul's team did. And we will engage again, I think on a good frequent interval, but rest assured that on a daily basis, weekly basis, we are being very diligent. We have a security analyst who's continuously, his job is to make sure that we are secure and we are ahead of that curve. But, naturally it is a challenge nowadays, of course.
Is that FISMA compliance an annual certification or?
It's not an annual certification, but it's a very large set of standards that you can take and you can compare and you can look at your organization and say where you stand. And it's a continuous improvement in terms of all sides of your network. So we have taken that and we have implemented a lot of actions and we are continuously implementing a lot of actions. And then the goal is to reach the final, but the final is a goalpost which moves because these standards change as the threats change.
Mayor Preciado.
I just want to thank you too for the presentation. But the question is, knowing that the software gets outdated, how old is the software you're currently using? How old is it and how effective?
So we use not one software, we use multitude of softwares when it comes to security. There are software which check, for example, our web internet presence. There are software which check our network, for example, when because you're trying to attack different places, right? We have a lot of different doors that we open to communicate to the world and the world communicate to us. So our internet is number one target, that our web pages, then our network is, then our computers are, laptops are, then our servers are. So each one of these, there are different tools that are industry standards or industry is ahead of them, specializing them, because it's such a vast field. You cannot have just one simple software which will protect you. I wish that was the case. It will make our life very easy, but that's not the case. So we have a multitude of different layers of softwares that we do, and we make sure that they are ahead of every day. They are, for example, our computers on a daily basis, they get updated for any new threat comes in. So within 24 hours, we are patching our computers if there is a threat for which the patch has come. So it's a continuously monitoring, continuously patching, continuously doing in all aspects of these different softwares. Then also there are hardwares too that we also have to upgrade. And that's why part of our recommendation is to get some of our hardware changed and upgraded too.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the problems in cybersecurity are only going to accelerate people because of AI and the other things associated with it. So IT is a place that I never want to short investing money on in security. At our county, they were able to take over our behavioral health and recovery services some years ago, and we had to recreate, and it was in the 7 figures, right, to do it. So money well spent on the front end of anything, and the audits should be continuous, whether you're sending out phishing emails to your employees. Just again, it's a training procedure. I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you for what you do. Imtiaz, you and Alex and James and your team, again, I have so much appreciation for you. Unsung heroes, again, and it's kind of like your tires on your car, right? You don't think about them until one of them blows out, and then it's a problem. So just appreciate all you guys do and the concentration on the cybersecurity front.
Thank you. Thank you.
And did you have anything else?
I just have one more.
Yeah,
I
might have jumped the gun on questions. I apologize.
No problem at all. I just wanted to say my last thing is we are making the recommendation to upgrade some of the software and hardware and spend $328,000 on that one. So with that, I thank you for your time. If any more questions, please let me know. Okay.
I think we're good on questions, but this is an item for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Are there any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none and none online. Bakersfield, do you have any public comment?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, any public comment?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, this is an action item? Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Mendez and a second by Dr. Pacheco Warner.
Okay, I'll call for roll. And also just for the record to show that Dr. Pacheco Warner and Mr. Robinson are in attendance now. Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Ms. Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
Dr. Pacheco Warner,
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
Aye.
Mr. Preciado,
Yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Schicklin.
Aye.
To the chair, motion passes.
All right, thank you very much.
And thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item, it's very exciting, our new district public website. Yeah.
This one. Good morning. All right, James, you ready? There was a whole conversation about who drove this show, and James is going to drive, so it's safer for you all. Good morning. It is my pleasure to be here. My name is Heather Hanks. I am the program manager for the outreach and communications team under Jamie Holt, who you saw a little while ago. And I get to take you through a brief tour of our updated website. Proceed. Just soak it in. Looks good. I enjoy it. It's a cleaner, modern design. Clearly more visually appealing, well organized, and certainly a service-driven development. That is the core of our work today. You can pause it. We worked hard to address the millions of people and provide this information in a cleaner environment, well organized, and as you see, really good to look at. Continue. At the top is the core information that you find. It's our header navigation. You jump onto a web page and you land here, and the basic things you might want to see are right at the top: about the district, how to get a hold of us, searching permits, which is clearly our largest stakeholders, employment, hey, come work with us, and certainly making payments to the district. We've had the online payment system, but now it's right there at the top and easy to find. Continue. And of course, I'm sure you've noticed the very beautiful top right corner, as we are going to zoom in on, Air Now. We had a wonderful discussion about public-facing tools in November, and we have incorporated Air Now into our website and our public-facing messaging. And it is lovely, and there it is. Please pause. So what you see here is what we're calling the main navigation. Our entire movement in the progress of this development is to a content management system. Everything that Imtiaz was talking about earlier, certainly this plays into that as far as security and being able to control the information we present. This content management system enhances usability, simplifies searches for the public, and allows us to authorize various staff across the district to provide information and update it. Gives us a little more efficiency, we're a little speedier, and certainly if we're in the middle of an air quality episode, it makes us more nimble. Continue. What you're seeing across the top is what we call the main navigation. These are all of the sections of our website. We spent a lot of time organizing this information by how the public needs to use it. Please pause. Each of these sections has a wonderful new little box. If you look there under the name of the section, you see learn about rules and planning. All of the main sections of our website now have this little box, which is basically a roadmap to that division. Continue. All right, just a quick look at that roadmap. Here's an example. These are all the menu items you would have just had a word to click on previously. Now you get to actually dig in. There's a little bit of guidance and a whole lot more support for the public as they go through all of this information. Now, pause again. There it is, a centralized calendar, all of our public meetings all in one place. If you click on the actual item, it'll take you to the board and the agenda for the day and the items that we review. The The calendar can be automatically updated, and it continues to house all of our public information. Play. That's an example, jumps you right to the agenda for the day. And all of our public meetings now live in the, well, they did prior, but they live in the homepage. In the top center, public meeting agendas are all available. Please pause. All right, another piece that I want to highlight is the enhanced accessibility across the website. A couple of things you see as we scroll across buttons, little things like the word that pops up, the ability for screen readers to produce ADA information, better contrast ratios, keyboard navigation, all of those things had to be considered, as did language. We've expanded the languages possible, and that's what you see in the corner. That language button is available on every page of our website. And go ahead and continue. And it's simply a click of the button will translate the information on the page, and that's an example of switching into Spanish. Please pause. This is my favorite part of our update to the website, and probably the most significant in the way our users experience our website. If you've been to our website previously on your phone, you'll notice that it's a very large web page that you have to kind of zoom in and out of. Now we have mobile optimization. I can tell you that more than 60% of the users that visit our website visit on a mobile device, a phone or a tablet or something other than a computer. Continue. And being mobile responsive and optimized allows us to present the information as you see on the screen. So if we jumped on the website when this is live, this is what our homepage looks like now. All of those buttons that have been carefully thought out by us presented. There you go, get to your meetings, important information to learn more and such. And that is that's it.
I'll just add a closing comment. First of all, as somebody who's been here now for a couple of decades and getting close to 3, I've seen the evolution of our public page. We do have a functional page. I have to acknowledge, that the existing page before we cut over to the new page is one that has served the public well. I think it's been over 20 years since we've updated our webpage in a significant way. And so I think that with the board's direction, we've talked about this a couple of times, we've gotten some good brainstorming in the past. It's really exciting to be able to move into new technology that will provide overall a much better level of service to the public. And we had talked about online portals and all of the other, part of that earlier. This will only take it to the next level with this new webpage. It's got all the latest features. We've previewed it with some of the stakeholders as well to get some feedback, and it's gotten a really positive response as well. Things like the calendar have been asked for some time, and we actually, with this new architecture, are able to offer that that feature, which it just makes sense to be able to have that out there for the public. So I think this website, the new website, will conform even better to what the board expects in terms of providing that excellent public service, with the mobile features as well. And I'm just really just want to acknowledge the work that Jamie, Heather, and her team have done, as well as the IT team. And in particular, there's a young man sitting in the audience over here, Anton, who's actually the web developer here. Just a round of applause for Anton.
Yes.
He's worked really hard to take, often I think by committee, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made in terms of how you present information. And he's been, really good at really just trying to get the best out of different conversations and hearing from the public, and a lot of suggestions that have come in. So just hats off to the team on the work that they've done. And we're actually ready to go live. It's imminent with it. So, I've heard comments around, maybe the current one was designed by an engineer, which means that it's functional as somebody who actually has an engineering background, but I think this one has a little bit more than engineering design. I think it's got a few more perspectives probably built into it. So with that, I'll turn it back to, there's no action required on this, but it was really more of just making sure the board and the public were fully aware of the philosophy behind the website and just preview it before we go live with the website. Oh, yeah. So I think we were shooting for Monday of next week is the target date, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight for our board members the task cannot be understated. I mean, these are hundreds of pages that we were talking about that had to be updated. And I know you've done it slowly. So this is so exciting to see you guys here, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Robinson.
Thank you for updating this site. The other site was a good site, but I'll appreciate the user friendliness. One question though, in terms of ads, will ads also be provided on the site? Because occasionally I'll have a constituent call and ask me about an ad that I haven't seen.
Like public facing ads, there's a carousel at the top of the page where we absolutely put probably commercials from that you guys have produced, any programmatic information, grants and such, that thing, but we don't do any outside advertising, if that's what you were asking.
No, I meant internal advertising. A lot of times the air board will have an ad that's on television and I've not viewed it yet.
He wants to see himself.
Got it.
Yeah, I want to, yeah.
And thank you all for your time today.
No, we'll make sure that the entire board sees all of the, and because all those do get posted, I believe also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, so, but we'll make sure that you see all the ads as they get developed. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman.
Supervisor Pereira.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you go back to the first page?
Just a moment.
And then my question is, if, in our case, right, there's sometimes environmental events that go on. And so I'm wondering, do we have a section that allows like the most hit portions of our website to be put up? Like on the learn more, say there was a wildfire. And so people are going to get information. So is there a way to put that where, or would it automatically come up?
Yes.
As a link?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to explain that. We actually do have sort of emergency banners that we employ on our website, and they'd be at the top of the page and they would exist on any of the pages you navigate through. So we do have the ability to do that and respond in that manner. And do you have anything to add, Samir?
I was going to say that I think the great thing about the new architecture is that there are a lot of features that would allow us to do kind of, I think what you're also referring to, which is have an automated way of displaying, the things that are most visited by folks. We will have those capabilities. I believe Learn More may have that built in. We can check in, but even if it doesn't currently, I think the current design is designed to take the historical knowledge and actually make those things prominent already. But I think over time, priorities change, new pages come up. So it is an interesting, question as to whether we could just, flip that switch and have that section, for example, or another section, just have that go up. And that is something we can keep looking at for sure.
Yeah. Say we release funding for some grants, right? And so people start coming to our website to check it out, to make it more convenient.
So you see where it says residential wood smoke reduction program there, that's the carousel. And that's absolutely probably some new program. I put a big ad right there.
Gotcha.
And take folks to that page.
All right. Thanks.
Rosa?
Thank you. I'm certainly one of those individuals that does 90% of her reading and work on my mobile. So thank you for helping me in that regard. But to that end, can you see the daily air quality icon on your cell phone as well?
Yes. Yes. When we make it live, you will be able to see it.
Wonderful. I encouraged our city to put that same icon on our city's website, because that is a data point that I think any consumer, any person going on to any government website would be a point of reference that is relevant to them and would be good to have. So that's something we're pursuing at the city of Modesto. There's multiple links to applications on our website. A lot of them that I've seen are links to PDF applications. In this update, did you continue that practice, or did you consider having some of those forms be fillable online?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we kind of have right now we have a hybrid. We have some forms are online, kind of HTML. Like our grant application portals, and many of those are actually fillable online kind of web forms. We do have some forms that are fillable PDFs as well. So they're PDFs, but they're fillable, and then you can still send them in. I think over time, where we can continue to move towards the easier to fill, I think maybe that's what you're implying, that maybe it's a little bit easier to fill those web kind of design forms. We're definitely moving in that direction. But I think the new things that we're doing certainly are, and as we go back and kind of keep revamping, the existing programs, that's something that we definitely have been working on doing as well. And we'll keep moving in that direction.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Thank you. Obviously, a lot of work behind the scenes, as it were, just like our cybersecurity stuff. And we are so dependent on this to get the work done and to meet the public where they want to be met, where it's easiest for them to be met. How do we decide when the next update is due? And as you look back in this process, do you say, oh gosh, I wish we'd done this 2 weeks ago? Okay, fine. Or do you look back and say, wow, we should have done this 2 years ago? Yeah, maybe we should have done it 2 years ago. Why didn't we? How do we get ahead of that? Because things are changing, so they're changing fast.
Through the chair, yeah. So we have a great team, as you know, and with that knowledge, I think comes the ability to keep evaluating technology, and we're confident this technology with this webpage is good for many years to come, that you can build off this technology, right? It gives you a platform to keep making constant improvement. So we're definitely, even with this release, as we just talked about, say with forms and other aspects and the prioritization that Supervisor Pereira mentioned as well, we're constantly looking to keep improving it. And then at some point, I guess as my daughters would sometimes tell me, like, when you know kind of a thing, through the expert staff that we have, if we ever needed to make another, sort of foundational change, I'm sure that we'll be coming back to you to talk about that again. But we do think we're confident with this technology that we'll have, many years of, of strong, foundation, really good, good bones to the website to be able to keep building for years to come.
Exactly. And if I may, Samir, that the CMS, the content management system that we have moved to, allows for that it is supported by a very leading company that also works to upgrade and push forward content management for websites. So we get the benefit of their growth as well as we move forward. So this system will house us for a very long time. Samir's right.
Okay, this is not an action item, but I will open it for public comment.
Are there any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment on this item? I have one coming up.
Run. No, just kidding.
Daniel Cunha Farmers, there's no way I can escape this. Like I was telling Todd, man, this was pretty easy. Great job on everybody's part. But it is when Samir shared some of it with us and stuff, but as you just went through it, great opportunity, but on the phone, on your cell phone, most people live that. That's their life, even at the dinner table, which should be taken away at the dinner table so we can look across the table and talk. But excellent job. Commend the staff. Great future. So I want to thank you, all of you, and super job in the board. Thank you for letting them move that direction and making it easy, but in all the languages. I think, which is cool, the way you have done that. And again, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who'd like to comment on this item? I do have one online comment. Janet Dietz-Kamay.
Hello, Janet.
Hi, thank you. It's kind of early to tell because I'm unable to navigate the program, but it looks like it is an improvement, and I am looking forward to looking at the different areas as soon as it is up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you. Any public comments in Modesto?
No public comments in Modesto.
Bakersfield, do you have any public comments?
No public comments in Bakersfield.
Okay. Well, thank you, Heather. We look forward to Monday.
Thank you.
Midnight?
Afternoon.
Okay.
We'll reset in the morning and double check a few
and what
things.
the languages is there Armenian? Is that one of the languages?
It can be. We've actually done some exploration
Great.
of the key ones in the valley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I don't, but I'm hoping to learn from the website. Okay, item number 10 is a verbal report on state advocacy efforts.
Just wanted to introduce the item just really quickly here. And this is not just meant to be one of, well, maybe Tom's last assignment in his, as we'll talk about a little bit later. The advocacy work that we do on behalf of the board with the legislative platform that the board puts together, and just the urgency of the air quality needs, the funding, fighting for our fair share, as we talked about earlier. It's something that we do put a lot of energy and try to be creative, innovative as we work with our coalition to fight for the Valley's needs. So from time to time, we think it's important to report on how that's going and continue brainstorming so that we can just be as effective as possible in moving forward the needs of the Valley residents. So with that, I wanted to introduce Tom, our Director of Policy and Government Affairs, and Mark Montalongo, who recently through recruitment has actually been appointed to fill Tom's position when he retires. And I'm not going to get into that side of things until the item later on the agenda, but today is actually Tom's last day. So they'll be co-presenting the item. I believe that's Sylvia. Okay, so she's not here. So I'm going to have them give an update. I'll share some extra thoughts as well a little bit later in the presentation, and we'll just get going. So you got the clicker.
Sounds good. Thanks, Samir. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Mark Montalongo here, Program Manager of Policy and Government Affairs. Just going to give a brief report on our state advocacy efforts. So the district has a long history of developing and implementing air quality strategies with plans achieving significant emission reductions. Our stationary source regulations since the 1990s have achieved over a 94% reduction in NOx emissions, which is the primary drivers of ozone and PM 2.5. Our incentive programs are recognized as a gold standard throughout the state and are nationally recognized for achieving emission reductions. There you can see there, it's a very large number, $7.2 billion in public-private partnership for voluntary incentive programs, which is a huge benefit to improving air quality and public health in the Valley. While significant air quality progress has been made, over 80% of the NOx emissions in the Valley are from mobile sources. In order to meet these current air quality mandates, strong state support is needed. At the beginning of each year, your board approves the district's legislative mandate that helps guide advocacy efforts in support of this mission. This is where most of the real work comes in, with the goal of bringing resources to the Valley, providing education regarding Valley air quality challenges, efforts to reduce air pollution, and the progress made and needs to meet stringent air quality mandates. Advocating for state resources to assist in reducing pollution while prioritizing areas with the greatest of air quality challenges in underserved communities. This advocacy efforts process is consistent with the district's mission and adopted platform. Over the past few months, the district has conducted meetings with key legislators and committee staff regarding the resources needed in order to improve air quality and public health in the Valley. These efforts have strongly supported through Valley coalitions of diverse stakeholders, such as agricultural organizations, community-based organizations, Valley counties, regional policy council, and more. As we are currently in the middle of the legislative session, the district is actively reviewing and supporting efforts consistent with the legislative platform. Currently in Sacramento, we have 30% of the legislatures in their first term. So the advocacy and educating new members on Valley issues, challenges, and resources has been very important. During this legislative session, there are over 2,200 bills that have been introduced, touching on a variety of air quality topics, such as organics material, local control, and carb overreach, just to name a few. So given this, I'll turn it over to Tom Jordan to take us home.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about the advocacy for resources. This year, there's really kind of two things going on that are important to us. The annual state budget process we've been active in since last fall, And then also this year, the legislatures, there's a lot of discussion about the reauthorization of the cap and trade program. And the annual budget process is always a challenge, and we're always working on that. But the cap and trade program is kind of a unique opportunity, and it's actually provided significant resources to the Valley to help us meet our goals as well as other goals here. With our leadership and working with others, with stakeholders and others, the Valley's got about $2.1 billion out of the cap and trade program since it initially started. That's about 20% of the statewide total, even though we're about 10% of the state's population. So we've done very well under the cap and trade program to bring resources to the Valley. The current cap and trade program is authorized through 2030. And so you may ask, why is reauthorization a topic now? Well, it's an open market where people buy credits, and uncertainty in that market has a damaging effect on the price that people are willing to pay, because there's market uncertainty. They don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so the legislature has started discussions this year on reauthorizing past 2030. It's a very complicated negotiation. There's a lot that goes into that on, what are the caps going to be? What levels will people have to buy credits? Are there going to be any other, requirements put on folks through that process? And then also, traditionally, the cap and trade program, there have been continuous appropriations out of that for different funding sources. And so that's a big discussion. If we have this revenue, are we going to earmark it for some projects going forward, or are we going to, fund things as they come? So that's part of the whole discussion. The district, consistent with our legislative platform, are supporting reauthorization of this program, being that it's such an important funding source. And we also get reductions out of some of the actions people take to reduce their emission to avoid buying credits. In that advocacy, we have been advocating that the funds in the program be prioritized to regions with air quality challenges and with underserved communities. And we've also talked about our funding priorities. As I mentioned, in the past, certain programs have been earmarked for an annual appropriation. And we think some of the programs that are the most cost effective, like the farmer program, our alternatives to ag burning, and other priorities should be on that list of things that are considered for an annual appropriation instead of fighting every year for funding. I mentioned the state budget, so a very similar list of things that we're fighting for through the state budget. As we've talked over the last few months, it's another challenging year for the budget. It's not quite as bad as last year. However, as new information comes out, it hasn't all been good news. So we continue to talk to people. We're asking for $200 million for this year, and then continuing into future years for the farmer program, $75 million for the alternatives to ag burning, and similarly continuing. The Community Air Protection Program, or AB 617, there is funding in the governor's proposed budget for that, which is at, I think it's at 260 million right now, 260 million. And we're asking that to be increased to 300 million to recognize that the program has expanded and they've continued to add new communities. So that funding source that it's at right now has been the same for a number of years. And then the Clean Cars for All program, hugely successful here in the Valley. We were, along with Valley Clean Air Now, responsible for kind of creating that program. And now it's been broadened throughout the state. And right now there is no funding for future years in that program. And we're asking for $100 million a year statewide for that. The governor's proposal had a modest surplus. In our meetings with the budget committee staff, they've basically said that we make good arguments in support of the programs we like, but that, again, it's a challenging budget year, so the bar is going to be pretty high, but we're going to continue to make those arguments. And then finally, I just wanted to share, we talk about all the programs in the farmer program. I don't think it can be overstated how important it is to the Valley and how well the Valley's done under that program since its inception, which it was actually it was created as part of the negotiation to extend the cap and trade program the last time, and they only committed to 2 years of funding at that point. And we've been able to keep it going. There's been $600 million allocated. The Valley's received $482 million of those dollars, which is 80% of the statewide total. So hugely important to us, hugely important to our progress going forward, and we'll continue to advocate for that.
Yeah, if I could just closing comment through the chair. First, just wanted to thank Tom, for his work this session and in helping to keep pushing the board's priorities on the budget. It's been, I think our input has been well received. We've met with committee chairs. We had an opportunity to meet even just recently with the Assembly Transportation Committee chair who sits on the Cap and Trade Working Group. There's a few legislators that are kind of behind the scenes thinking about, the essential components that would go into reauthorization. Our position, is one of timely reauthorization, not getting into the specifics of it, but really it's contingent upon value. So it's not just a blanket reauthorization, it's reauthorization because, for example, there's strong farmer and other funding basically programmed into any sort of reauthorization. So that's something that's a little squishy and something that I think, as we talk to legislators on both sides of the aisle, that I think there is some sort of a common ground on that aspect of it. In that I think moving forward that there needs to be a good value proposition in terms of what maybe comes out of some sort of reauthorization, and those conversations have been very well received. I think that a lot of folks in Sacramento are interested in making sure that dollars are spent on programs that are cost effective, that are at the community level, that actually provide emissions reductions, actually provide for benefits, as opposed to other programs that maybe don't have the same quantified benefit that programs like Farmer are able to demonstrate, as you saw with those nice charts that actually CARB helped to pull together as the partner that we work with on that specific program. I also want to note just one last piece, which is that part of the reason why, just thinking ahead, programs like Farmer are so important is because really what's shown to have worked in many of these mobile source spaces has been a strong public-private partnership-based approach. When we talk about new technology, whether it's the latest tractor technology or the latest trucking technologies, these are very expensive technologies. And I think that moving forward, it's really important, and the message that we've had to policymakers in Sacramento has been, we really got to get to a common sense place when it comes to seeking these reductions. The regulatory approach, it achieves what it can achieve, but there are major limitations. Like you can't just regulate all these things. We've seen that recently, with some of the waiver discussions that came up earlier. And so when you have really high demand programs like Farmer, where we literally have $500 million worth of projects that are sitting in our queue today, actual applications from growers and other programs like those, it really would, I think, be wise for the states to keep moving the ball forward in reducing emissions, but in a way that actually works, that gets to reductions now, doesn't wait a decade, for maybe a technology to come around. So that's just part of the conversation that's been going on. I feel like there's more receptivity to that as the legislature tries to wrestle with affordability issues, rising costs, inflation, some of the concerns that they have about some of the state mandates, that's come up a couple of times already today. So that's kind of the environment that we're operating under. And again, we're just trying to make sure that our board's priorities are pursued and that we end up with funding so that we can all keep moving the ball forward on these various goals that we have. And so with that, just thanks to the staff, and I'll turn it back to you. This is a report. There's no action required, but back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions from Mark and Tom? Sounds like a radio show. Mark and Tom. Buddy, did you have?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just kind of a comment. I mean, this is kind of like the centerpiece of what we do, because we can't do a lot of these things that we do without the advocacy that you guys do. But your problem is you have to enlighten the unenlightened. You have to teach the people who can't count to count. So it's a very difficult job, and you've done a great job over the years, Tom, of doing it, and you continue to. And Mr. Bongalongo now has to pick up the ball. You got a great teacher there, so. And I'm sure you're going to do great because you come from my district.
All right, Dr. Sheriffs.
Yeah, I come from Buddy's district too. Anyway, appreciate very much the presentation, the hard work, the focus in the coming very difficult year and years ahead. Just a comment on the first page, the district advocacy efforts. The second bullet talks about focuses on meeting the air quality mandates. And I want to remind us that our priority as a board clearly has been, continues to be, it's not meeting the mandates, it's meeting the more healthful goals. The mandates are the mandates and their numbers that we work for, but we're doing it not to check a box. We're doing it to meet those numbers that represent more healthful air quality. And obviously we can't get there alone. Got to work with the state, hopefully get federal cooperation and get the Fed to stand forward. But I think that approach also fits with what was talked about in terms of the legislature's priorities about community and other aspects that appeals to them. So an important emphasis. Thank you.
No other questions? Again, this is not an action item, but I will open it up for public comment. Do we have any?
Any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? We have one coming up.
Manuel Cunha, is it on?
It's on.
Okay.
You're on.
Manuel Cunha, Nice Farmers Lake. I wanted to thank Tom and his team and Mark filling in and taking this kid's place here. But I think, as you saw the numbers, I think the farmer program is one of the most valued programs that can show CARB. Voluntary things work, collaboration. As what I see in the South Coast, it's destruction of industry and business and the removal of farming. Farming is gone from the South Coast. And just because of not a care and not an understanding that the sale of the land and building a building was more important, or houses. So again, I want to thank Samir, the team, and everybody, the board, for advocating for agriculture, continuing on the farmer program. And the last one was the ag burn. We're the only air district that doesn't burn agricultural waste. And we have to can put it into the earth or put it back into composting or whatever. But again, if it isn't for those funds, our farmers can't do this. And what I hope to happen is that the governor will realize this and know that if the farmers don't get help on this ag burn, it's going to come back to us. It's going to come back to this board to discuss what do our farmers do, because of the technology isn't there as what everybody thinks. But again, I want to thank the entire staff and Samir and his entire lobbying efforts or advocacy efforts, working with other groups, but also the federal partners. Look at what the state contributes to our effort. And that means USDA NRCS contributes toward the ag burn and also toward the farm equipment program. So again, having a partnership with our feds, because the feds see that this is a state law. This isn't a federal law for the ag burn or the equipment. So again, thank you very, very much, Tom, and the team and the efforts, and definitely the board for supporting and working with agriculture on various voluntary programs, as well as those that are permitted. But again, thank you.
Thank you, Manuel.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment on this? None in Fresno, but I do have one online. Janet Dietz-Kamay.
Hello, Janet.
Thank you. Only.
You're on. Maybe. We lost you. You there, Janet?
Most of this year I have spent inside. I would love to go outside during November to February. I can't tell you how difficult it is to be inside as I watch what happens to my garden and my dog not being walked. He's 14 years old this year. Both need continuous attention and both get very little attention during November and this year until the beginning of March. Now with the weather warming, the air quality is better, so I can manage both dog walking and working outside as a result. This is a problem because every winter from November to February, I am inside and I can't go outside. I have been very sick for the past 2 months because I unfortunately caused smoke in my house. It wasn't a very large amount of smoke, but it was enough to affect me. So, this is a problem that we have every single year. Every year, we have a problem with smoke during the months of November, December, January, and February. And this year into March a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
I have another online comment, Chris McLaughlin.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Chris McLaughlin, California Cotton Ginners and Growers Association. Just wanted to echo the sentiments and comments from my colleague Manuel Cunha. Thank Mark and Tom for their presentation. Obviously, the priorities that have been laid out here are of a lot of importance for us and our association, specifically the Ag Burn Alternative funding as well as the farmer funding. I know it might have been discussed, I might have missed it, but we know the backlog on those projects and those programs are extensively long, with hundreds of millions of dollars of applicants waiting for the conversion of their equipment or to be able to chip and incorporate their orchards and vineyards into their fields. All of those result in direct emission reductions. And so we'd like to emphasize our commitment to fighting for that funding in partnership with the Air District on this. So we're very supportive of the platform. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Chris.
I have another online comment, Paul Yoder.
Oh, move ahead. No. Hi, Paul.
Hey, good morning, board members, Madam Chair and board members.
Yes.
I was going to try to stick around for the Tom Jordan item, but I have to hop on something at 10:30, and I just wanted to say what a pleasure it has been working with Tom all these years. The district is better off because of him. I am a better man because of Tom Jordan. And I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Paul.
Are there any members of the public in Bakersfield?
No public comment.
Any public comment in Modesto?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for that item. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, item 11 is to approve up to $20 million in funding to support the district's Drive Clean and the San Joaquin Vehicle Replacement Program.
Hey, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm Brian Dodson, Program Manager in our Grants and Incentives Department, and it's my pleasure to be here with you this morning. As your board is aware, reducing mobile source emissions, which make up the majority of the Valley's emissions, is necessary to meet the federal ambient air quality standards. And the district's voluntary incentive programs play a key role in reducing emissions through clean air partnerships with businesses, the agricultural community, public agency, and Valley residents by providing financial assistance in the transition to the cleanest technologies available. Our Valley low-income and priority population residents are most impacted by older vehicles with higher emissions and fuel costs. The district's Drive Clean in the San Joaquin program provides Valley residents with multiple options for reducing emissions from passenger vehicles, with a focus on providing assistance to low-income and disadvantaged communities throughout the Valley. In 2014, the district's groundbreaking vehicle replacement component was approved by your board. This pilot program served as a model for what has now become the state's Clean Cars for All program, and we continue to be a leader in program implementation throughout the state. Since 2015, the district has received over $106 million in state funding to operate our vehicle replacement program. Incentives are available up to $12,000 to Valley residents, and those incentives depend on the income level of the participant, whether or not they live in a disadvantaged community, and the type of replacement vehicle that is being purchased. To date, we've replaced over 8,300 high polluting vehicles with cleaner and more fuel efficient models, with the newer vehicles being primarily electric plug-in hybrid or battery electric options as well. Outreach for this vehicle replacement program primarily utilizes a grassroots community-driven approach to reaching low-income and disadvantaged community residents throughout the Valley. Weeknight community-based events, which are held at local businesses or public spaces, are a great opportunity to engage community members about the program. These weeknight community events have been held throughout the Valley. Since relaunching the program in October of 2023, there have been well over 130 weeknight events, which have connected with residents in small and large communities alike. These events have proven to be extremely effective in engaging community residents who otherwise may not have been able to participate in these types of programs. In addition, we have utilized partnerships with community-based organizations to communicate program information through their existing networks and social media to conduct localized outreach to connect with residents. This approach to program outreach has resulted in very high levels of participation throughout the district's disadvantaged communities, with more than 98% of the Valley's disadvantaged communities having participated in the program. The results of the community outreach strategy have proven to be very effective in reaching these underserved communities and assisting in the transition to cleaner transportation options. To date, we've received, since relaunching the program in 2023, roughly $60 million in applications, which resulted in the need to close the program to new applications in December of 2024. And just to note, as far as our efforts go, it's been recognized by the Luskin Center for Innovation and our ability to reach underserved communities, which acknowledge that the efforts of the district appear to largely focused on reaching low-income communities and communities of color through a variety of outreach approaches while still attaining emission reductions. So we're very proud of the approach we've taken with this program and our ability to connect with residents throughout the Valley. And these are just some images of folks who have purchased their new cars. We hear a lot of positive feedback. We provide a lot of assistance throughout the entire application process, all the way through purchasing the vehicles and having the incentive check available at the time of purchase for folks. So as mentioned, the program demand from Valley residents has exceeded the available funding for the program. And since closing the program in December, we've worked closely with CARB as well as CAPCOA to identify short-term funding solutions that would allow the program to continue operating. Currently, we've identified several short-term solutions that would allow us to reopen the program while we work towards the longer-term solutions that Tom and Mark talked about as well. So these short-term solutions include $2.8 million in funding that CARB has identified from the EFMP program, Enhanced Fleet Modernization, that can be provided to the district. This funding source, though, is limited to providing up to $4,500 of the $12,000 incentive. So in order to reach that full incentive that applicants could be eligible for, we are proposing an additional $4.8 million in community incentive funding as necessary match funding that we can bring into this program as well. In addition, CARB has tentatively proposed $12.4 million in Carl Moyer State Reserve funding that's available, and that they would allow those funds which haven't in the past been able to be used on vehicle replacement programs to be used on this type of program option. That funding will likely be divided amongst multiple air districts operating similar programs throughout the state. So while the final distribution hasn't been determined as of yet, we'll likely receive something less than that full 12.4 million. But wanted to identify that as a potential funding source for this process as well. So if approved by your board today, the district will work closely with Valley Cleaner Now, our program partner, to relaunch the application process for this vehicle replacement program. It will involve, of course, updating our working agreements with Valley Cleaner Now and scheduling application assistance workshops. Currently, the plan with the funding that has been identified here is to do 40 weeknight clinics that would operate throughout the valley from early April to about early June, depending on the demand that we get there, spread out equally throughout the district on kind of a rotating basis, so that we can provide as much assistance possible to residents throughout the valley who may want to participate in this program. And Valley CAN's responsibilities under this program option include program management and oversight, program outreach, application assistance. They work very closely hand in hand with program participants to help them navigate through this process, which includes coordinating vehicle purchases at the dealerships and holding these application workshop events throughout the valley. And the recommendations for today's item are here before you. We do have Tom Knox, the Executive Director of Valley CAN, available to say a few words, and then we can return it to your board for any questions. Tom?
Good morning.
Good morning, board. I'm Tom Knox of Valley CAN. Thank you again for this opportunity. Big thanks to staff for working so hard over the last couple of months to come up with this solution. We're grateful for this. This is a great short-term solution. It would be helpful to just explain to the board why we're in this position. There is now such strong demand for more affordable, reliable electric vehicles in the valley. There's such awareness of the fact that Clean Cars for All is out there as an option that is so transformative to folks to get out of their unreliable, expensive gas-powered vehicles and get into an affordable used ZEV, that we see constant demand. And then we're seeing the more that we help these customers in person, which is why we're now doing a workshop 4 nights per week. As Brian mentioned, we'll do 40 over the next 10 weeks. We know that the more help we give folks, the more likely they are to complete the transaction, the more impacted they are, the lower income, the more likely they are living in a disadvantaged community census tract. So the program has gotten much, much more efficient as our transaction rate has increased by 300% over the last 18 months. So it's a really remarkable example of we've scaled way, way up, and the impact that we're seeing is much, much greater as we scale up. I can't think of another example like this. So much of this is thanks to the strong partnership with staff and management. They have really stepped up and done an amazing job in their processing speed. We're seeing stuff that we never thought was going to be possible in terms of the daily output of the applications that are getting very thoroughly vetted and approved. Then the turnaround of the checks. I don't think anyone thought this would be possible a year or two ago. I was probably told it was impossible, but everyone has really stepped up and made that work. The problem is that now the spending rate is very quick. And so this is a wonderful short-term solution. We will be looking for a long-term solution to continue meeting that demand. So thanks to everyone for making this possible.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for all your work on this project too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead. And Mr. Cunha, you may go. Well, it's not public comment yet. Let me do a few questions. And you moved up closer and everything, Manuel. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Warner.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I want to emphasize in terms of the on the research side, being the scientist on the board, that this program has been shown by outside entities through extensive studies that this particular program that we have in the Valley is really good at reaching people from all disadvantaged backgrounds, to get them into these vehicles. And I will say that having worked with the program a lot and learned about it a lot, that it's not just about getting someone in a vehicle. There's a lot of education that happens alongside. And that's an important aspect when you're purchasing a hybrid or an electric as people do through this program. I want to just also, I mean, this is more of a ask for everyone, because this, Clean Cars for All should be a priority for everyone in the Valley, every county, every municipality, for this program to continue to be funded in the long term. And well, rest assured, I am working on the CARB level strongly to ensure that we educate the legislature on the importance of that. On the CARB side, I think that it is very critical this year that we all be champions of this program at the state level. Thank you.
Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is, with the application cutoff in December and the money that's being received on this funding segment, is that going to just cover the applications that from last year, or will there be any money left over for new applicants this year?
Yeah, great question. And thanks for the opportunity to address that. With the existing application queue and the funding that we have available, we think those will match up very well. So essentially, this new funding that we're getting is for new applications. So we essentially closed the applications in December when we had enough for the funding that was available then. And we didn't want to add more people into the queue that we did not have funding for. And so the idea with this additional funding is that we would be able to serve new applications depending on the breakup and what we ultimately get. It could be up to about 1,400 new projects. That'll obviously depend on the final mix of and availability of funding that we do receive, but it is for new applications that will be coming in.
So with Valley Can helping, with us contracting with Valley Can to go around to different communities within the counties, we have scheduled, I assume we have schedules for this year for Fresno, Merced, Modesto, what have you. Depending on where it falls, some of that money may be gone and other counties may not be able to access it. So how do we work that out so that counties in the north, south, other than just in the Fresno, Madera area, are accessing the funds for the vehicle replacement?
Sure. And we do over the 2-week period that we have 8 events for, that's within those 2 weeks, we're hitting every county. And as we rotate to hit multiple counties the second time, if we've done a large city in one county, for instance, the first time we'll try and hit a smaller community. So it's constantly rotating amongst the counties and between small and large communities. We actually are very effective in reaching the small communities, and sometimes those have our biggest turnout and connection with members of those communities. So that's something that we're constantly trying to be vigilant of and ensure that we're meeting everybody throughout the district.
And is the schedule out already for when the Valley Can program is?
Not quite posted yet. We're still kind of finalizing some of those details and ensuring that this was approved before we put out anything publicly, but we will certainly can connect with Katrina and pass that schedule along, and it'll also be linked within our website to provide people the information as far as those upcoming events.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey, Mayor Preciado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe it is a great program, but I also believe that, we can do more helping. I would like to see if it's possible, if, there's a little more communication with the board, since we represent the 8 counties. When Valley Can is doing those events, even though they're not in a county, but the other members can receive those notifications. And I believe they've been doing a great job, but I think the public also needs a little more information, because I have talked to some of them who are still undecided, since there's now so many options, fully electric, hybrid electric, hybrid plug-in, hydrogen gas. So they're really don't know which way to go. And I think it's a good opportunity. I was at one event in Avenal where Valley Ken had actually demo cars for people to actually drive them and test them, all different kinds. But there's still a lot of confusion, especially because in some rural communities, there's still no infrastructure for enough. And also, so that will help a lot, in people making a choice, and they're still knowing that sometimes the prices are differ so much from one type of car to a different one, fully electric, for instance. So I don't know how we can collaborate with them, with the public, and help them make a wise decision. What's the best way for them to go?
Through the chair, I appreciate that comment very much. I mean, the answer to the question is the core of what the program does, right? So I think what we want to do is the answer is exactly what we do with Valley Can, and actually working directly with people to consider those options. Some folks get comfortable, others may require a little bit more ongoing conversation, and Valley Can and our staff are available to keep that conversation going. And at some point, maybe they're ready to make that decision. We have to meet families, where they're at, and just keep. And that's where I think that's the beauty of the community focused, at pizzeria or at a restaurant, type event, where people can show up and actually meet people, talk about it, and maybe have a demo at the same time. So that's actually the solution to the question is actually being proposed today. And thanks for recognizing that we did do an event or, several events there in Avenal, kind of as part of your ongoing goal of trying to bring some of these to rural communities. And we want to keep doing that. I'm hoping that with the dozens of events that are being proposed here, maybe we can get the schedule out to the whole board so you can all see the whole schedule, and make sure that folks are able to access that. And you can actually access the program. You don't actually have to go to the event to access it. So make sure you have the information you need. If somebody's interested, they can reach out to Valley Can. They can actually submit the application, even if they're not at that event. So I think that's something that's really important, that you have all the information you need. So in residents, no matter where they're at, they have availability of the information. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with this proposal.
So maybe the recommendation may be to have a brochure with all the different types, the cost, and also that would
we have those. Yeah, we'll get those to you.
Yeah. Maybe make that available to us, and that way we can help you communicate with our communities. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Councilmember Nguyen?
Councilmember Lewis asked my question. One clarification is if someone has purchased an EV, like in this gap window between there was funding and when the funding starts again, are they able to go back and apply for funding for something they purchased, say, June, if this starts in July? Or is this just going forward from July? And then my follow-up real quick is when do you anticipate the meetings will start? Is it going to be fairly soon, or will be like August, September?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question through the chair. We're tentatively planning early April to relaunch the program application. So just within a couple weeks here. Unfortunately, if somebody did buy a car sort of outside this program, they're not eligible to seek incentives for reimbursement. We're looking at within our rebate program to relaunching that with the new fiscal year. So there may be opportunities there if they purchased a new or leased a new vehicle. But for this program, they have to be approved ahead of time.
And just one thing I wanted to, through the chair, Brian was a little bit modest on the, we wrangled this money basically out of the state. Just recently, very, very recently, this item came together very quickly. This opportunity came up just recently. We worked with Valley Can to pull together a really aggressive schedule of those 40 events, which will absolutely be all throughout the Valley in many, many, many communities throughout the Valley. And we'll get that schedule out. And then relaunching in just a matter, if approved by the board, just a matter of a couple of weeks, just hats off to like how quickly we've been trying to basically reposition this program so we can keep offering the services and keep building the case too. I think when we show that responsiveness, effectiveness, quick demand from the public as we keep fighting for more of the money, it's just helpful to be able to show that we have that the highest performing program anywhere in the state by far. And so I just wanted to kind of note, sort of like how this happened in terms of, the ongoing advocacy on behalf of the board. CARB was able to find this funding because of that. And then we quickly are able to bring it, at least for consideration today, and then get it up and running within a couple of weeks.
And that was the other part. I forgot to say congratulations, because I know you guys are out there wrangling this money, as you call it. So if we spend it all, maybe you can wrangle the rest of it, right? Dr. Sheriffs.
Thank you. Boy, there's something about the name Tom. No offense, Brian, but if I have another grandson, I'm going to be advocating that he be named Tom. What an amazing group of Toms we have in the room. An amazing program over and over. We love it. It's evolved. Who would have imagined in 2015 that we'd be thinking about transaction rates? I mean, that's the kind of improvement in the efficiency, not wasting the public's time, right? I mean, if they apply, we think they're going to close the deal and not wasting staff time, right? You get people, they're ready to go, and fabulous. Great response, great penetration. Highlighting the importance of partnership. And yeah, Brian, credit, my gosh, to find money where there was no money for this great program, to be able to reach people in the community. Boy, limited money, we really want the most bang for the buck. Clearly, well, I don't know if the program requires that people get a hybrid or a EV at this point. Is that what we're getting for?
That's correct, through the chair. The program does require it's a plug-in hybrid or a battery electric vehicle.
Great. That's fabulous, because it clearly, it's oversubscribed, so it's clearly meeting people's needs. There's even more need. And clearly, for us, limited funds, we want to get the most air quality. So, boy, what a program. Tom, thank you. Brian, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Robinson.
And what is the income threshold for eligibility?
Very good question. And I don't have my scale here with me through the chair. Roughly, in order to participate for a family of four, it's around $100,000. It's based on the federal poverty level. So you have to be within 300% of the federal poverty level. So depending on family size and annual income, that's what we look at. But roughly it's $100,000 for a family of four, and slightly less than that if you have smaller families.
Okay. Thank you. I see no more questions, but I will open this up for public comment.
Okay, any members of the public would like to comment in Fresno? I have one coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that. And Cunha, I want to first commend the board and the staff. Tremendous job, Brian, the entire team. I visited the one up in Merced in, I think it was August or June, and the money had just ended, and all these people on the line waiting. But the greatest part of all of it, when we went into that building, into that pizza place, that asking the workers or the families what type of car was needed for them. And that's why the hybrid is so important, because it can't just be pure electric. The infrastructure doesn't exist at all on our farms and some of our rural communities at all. But when they can use electric in town, fantastic. But then when the gas kicks in, they have that opportunity to get to their job and not have to worry about trying to figure out how to plug it in and how much time they have left, if they're going to make it home on the road or not. But the program is tremendous. Seeing those people, it was incredible. And it's a program that all of you have worked hard to put together. And I think ARB should be releasing some of the money that they use for other things that really shouldn't be used for, but used for programs like this versus paying lobbyists or advocacy groups. Excuse me, let me correct that. Advocacy groups is wrong, absolutely wrong. And you shouldn't be using state funds to fund advocates against and suing the state or suing this district. But again, those money should go to the car programs like this. Absolutely tremendous. Great job, Valley Can. I just don't know how much more to say, but great job to those families and giving them that opportunity and treating them like human beings. And I think that was the greatest part that I saw, and your staff was tremendous on that. So thank you very much. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you. Are there any other comments in Fresno? Seeing none and none online. Bakersfield, do you have any public comments?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Modesto, do you have any public comments?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you.
Okay, no more public comment, then I will bring this back. Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Mendez and a second by Dr. Sheriffs. Roll call, please.
Okay, through the chair, also for the record, Supervisor Couch is in attendance. I'll call for roll. Mr. Chiesa.
Aye.
Mr. Couch.
Yes.
Ms. Escutia Brayton.
Aye.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley.
Yes.
Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
Dr. Pacheco Warner.
Yes.
Mr. Pereira.
I vote aye.
Mr. Preciado.
Yes.
Mr. Reyna.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen.
Yes.
Ms. Shucklian.
Aye.
Through the chair, motion passes.
All right, thank you, everybody. All right, item 12. Farewell and recognition for retiring Director of Policy and Government Affairs. Who would that be?
Well, that would be Thomas Jordan, or Tomas Jordan, as I call him sometimes. And I've got a few notes. If I could just give a brief presentation here, we pulled together. I may just go off script here in a second, but wanted to first, before even jumping into talking about Tom, acknowledge that his wonderful wife and daughter are actually in the audience. Paula and Kira are both here.
Slowly got a gallery going here.
It's really great to see you guys. Welcome for this really awesome item where we can just celebrate really the over 32 years that Tom Jordan has been in service here to the district. I think he's been around for basically every major accomplishment, every major issue that we've worked on over 3 decades. He started here in December of 1992 as an Air Quality Planner 1. That's where his journey begins. He was one of our earliest employees. He started 6 months after the formation of what's called the San Joaquin Valley Unified Air Pollution Control District, where we took the 8 counties and became one district. He was here 6 months. He was living in Hanford and working for Kings County as a transportation planner after graduating with a degree in economics, which we joke a lot about here internally. We talk about a lot of things here, and he's an economics major and has a lot of thoughts to offer on those matters, in addition to air quality policy. He worked as a planner there at the county and saw a classified advertisement in the local paper for a job at this newly unified agency that nobody had ever heard of at the time. He worked on a wide variety of rules early in his career, including residential wood burning. That rule has been through a lot of different phases. I'm sure Tom could recite, where it started. It was a voluntary program, and then it became a rule, and it's just been, amended and amended and amended over the years, and we keep looking at improving that over time. The employee trip reduction rule, the indirect source review rule. Tom was the main person who helped to push that indirect source rule forward. And it was actually the first of its kind, and it still is the only of its kind, and was actually defended all the way up to the highest courts when it got challenged. And so held through all that, and that was a testament to the work that Tom put into that and making sure that it was defensible and a good program. So over the past 3 decades, and by the way, I can go on and on about, so for the sake of time, I'm going to try to keep this relatively concise here. He's held 8 different titles at the agency over these 3 decades, over 3 decades that he's been working here. He's had, this is anecdotally, I can't fully confirm this, but he's had over 15 different offices, I believe, here in the building, which I think sets a record at the agency. In 2004, he became a special project administrator, and that's kind of where a lot of what he does now in terms of, the policy kind of advisor role. That's sort of where that part of the journey began. And just started working a lot more in the public policy space and building all those connections that are just vital to the work that we do. Most recently, kind of as the epitome or the peak of that role, he served as Director of Policy and Government Affairs, where he's worked with me directly in overseeing all of our policy efforts. It's been a tremendous partnership, Tom and I. This goes back many, many, many years. Even before my current role, he was always a great person to learn from and different things that I was working on. And in this role has been absolutely vital in pursuing the board's priorities and various policy and legislative roles that we play. He's worked with numerous stakeholders throughout the Valley. Every sector you could imagine, NGOs, agriculture, the business community, public agencies. Tom is well respected, as I know all of you know, in all of these circles. Just known for being professional, for being responsive, and maybe most importantly, he's just a really funny guy, and I think brings a lot of humor into everything that he touches. Over the past several years, and this actually more than several years, he's helped grow our grant funding from, and I know a lot of the board members here haven't been around for quite this long, but back to 2005. Well, none of you actually, but some of you are getting close. Our budget back then was about $20 to $25 million, our grant budget. Where now it's over $500 million today, again, because of all the fighting and hard work that we all do, with Tom being our representative on that. He's represented us at dozens of conferences and forums. He travels everywhere, often with me to play those roles, and again is highly respected. He's quoted often in media. Got a couple of recent quotes here. This one's as recent as this past January. He was quoted in the Bakersfield Californian. I'm trying to hold together here, Tom. Regarding the phase out of open burning. This is a story that was run down there and the need for state grant funding. And he says in that quote, "I think we're hopeful, but it's not going to be easy." That was his quote there. And then there's no date on this particular quote, but it's his most famous quote. I think I have a copy of this article, by the way, in a box somewhere. It appeared at Fresno Bee, and the quote on this in this particular case was, "When we have more information, we'll know more." So Tom's extensive experience and understanding of state and federal legislation, his institutional knowledge, he's like a walking encyclopedia. Maybe some people may not even know what an encyclopedia is. It's kind of like Wikipedia, but like in books, sitting on a shelf for those of you out there. His knowledge is just an asset. We try to download from him on a regular basis, and I pull him into all kinds of random conversations just because of that institutional knowledge that he has. It's going to be missed. It's going to be missed sorely by me personally, and I know by the whole team. And we've been doing the best we can to download that information, but we got some big shoes to fill here with Tom retiring. So I know Tom and his wife Paula, who again is here in the audience and has been just amazing support system for all of us, because you allow Tom to do the work that he does, and you've always been great about that. I know Paul is also retiring. I just recently retired or about to retire. I know it's imminent. And so that's really exciting for both of you to reach this, again, pinnacle in your careers. You both worked a long time and have worked really hard and are super accomplished. And I know there's some traveling, in the works, golfing. I know Tom enjoys to golf, and he'll golf, more than maybe he's been able to with all the work that he's been doing over the years, and some relaxing, a little bit of relaxing, because I think Tom's really been just going at it, pretty aggressively in his career from a very young age. And I think, maybe just that'd be great probably for you to do. So I wanted to just close by, wishing you, Tom, the best, and, thanking me personally first on my behalf. He took me under his wing when I was kind of, developing my career here, and really appreciate you for that. And I hope that it's been fun for you as fun as it's been for me, this relationship. On behalf of the staff, who I know he's got a great team and the entire staff just work really well with Tom and are going to miss him. And then, of course, on behalf of the agency as a whole, just want to thank you for all your service. We have a plaque, and then maybe I'll ask for a round of applause that on behalf of the board and the agency here that I wanted to present. Maybe we can have some of the board members come down afterwards here. It says, in recognition of over 32 years of service, dedication, and commitment to improving air quality and public health for residents of the San Joaquin Valley, presented with gratitude to Tom Jordan. So, great job, Frank.
So Tom, I will open it up for you to make any comments if you'd like.
Sure. Well, so many of you know I'm a bit of an extrovert, but I'm not used to being the center of attention. So it is a little awkward. I want to go through a really quick 32 slide PowerPoint about all I learned, but I'm not going to do that to you all. So I did want to reflect a little bit over my time at the district, and Samir mentioned that it was a new agency when I was hired, and I was interested in the topic. I grew up in the inland valleys of Los Angeles in the 70s when air pollution was really horrendous. So it was a topic that I was interested in working on, and it was a new agency. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to go get my start there. And I told our staff the other day that I went to my interview in the old PG&E building in downtown Fresno and walked in, and there was no furniture for the agency yet. There was a receptionist with a rolling telephone table, and I walked in, and none of them got this reference, but I think this crowd might. I looked around and was like, am I on candid camera? I was like, this doesn't feel like a real entity here. And so I did that first interview. When I came back for the second interview, they were assembling the cubicle walls, and it all got started from there. And prior to that, each county had an air agency, and there was a patchwork throughout the counties, and the 1990 Clean Air Act had just been passed, and people were interested in eliminating a patchwork of regulations, and there were some other political issues going on as well, and so they looked to consolidate. And the counties brought some employees over, but then they had some gaps they needed to fill, and so they went up for recruitment, and I was one of those people that applied. At the time, the Valley was non-attainment for the 1 hour ozone standard for PM10, and there were 4 parts of the Valley that were non-attainment for carbon monoxide. And to be quite honest, we didn't know how we were going to meet any of those 3. And we've long since met all of those, and we've met a lot of others. I've had the opportunity to grow up with the agency from that humble beginning for them and for me, and watch it grow into what it is now. We've met those standards. We've met a lot of others, and the lives of people in the Valley are much better for it. And so I've really appreciated being part of that. I've worked for 3 executive officers, a number of different incarnations of the board, and I've appreciated the leadership that you guys have shown and all the time commitment. I get to spend a lot of time with a lot of you, and you guys sacrifice a lot to improve the lives of people here in the Valley, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate Samir's leadership and others to, set a course and let us go out and do that work. There's nothing I like better than when the Valley gets what we think is maybe a little bit more than our fair share from LA and San Francisco and the coastal folks. So I've really liked doing that over the years. I'm really proud of what we've done. The people we've assembled at the district, the staff, are some of the smartest people I've known over the years. The board provides great leadership. Samir does a great job implementing that. And I'm confident that as we move forward, we'll keep making more progress. There's more challenges ahead, and that the Valley is going to be a better place for it. So I've really appreciated being part of it. And just thank you for allowing me to do this all these years.
It looks like we have a few comments. So, buddy,
Yeah, well,
kick it off.
Tom, you're going to be missed. You're actually a fun guy to work with. I think the staff would agree with it. I can still remember, it's been a few years because Syed was here when we did that Washington DC trip, we were actually working on legislation. And I was able to be with you from the phone calls from here to the phone calls we got to go back there, and went back there with you, and that was a interesting and fun time. And like I said, you're going to be missed because you're a very personable person. And I think, we're just going to miss seeing our friend Tom.
Thank you. Supervisor Pereira. Oh, I'm sorry, Chiesa.
That's right. Thank you very much. So happiest man in the room right now. We talked about this morning. Love to see your beautiful family here. That is great. So no one person ever gets too much credit for making something happen. And today we had the figure $7.3 billion up there. But the famous few words from Tom is plus up, right? Every time we're in Sacramento or in DC, we're plus upping. We're going from a $10 million program and his plus up is $100 million or something. So the $7.3 billion that we've accomplished through public and private financing, you've had a large hand in, probably the biggest hand in all of that. I know that you've developed policy also, but I would tell you your mark is just the ability, because we've done it through the resource side more so than through the policy side. And you get a big thanks. I wrote down just like 3 things that come to mind. Been my therapist, you're wicked funny. I think we hear that from everyone. His dry sense of humor and his quick sense of humor. We have a text chain that's been going back 10 years. And the things that we say, and when I'm getting uptight about something, and this is not just here at the Air Board, this is out walking, right, or riding his bike. And he's the perfect personality. This is what really strikes me. You're the perfect personality when things get tough. You're serious, but you don't take anything too seriously, and that's going to serve you well for the remainder of your life, because you just take things as they come and you don't let it get you down. And you're the glue guy in this organization. So thank you very much for being my friend.
Thank you. Supervisor Pereira.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a hard act to follow. I try to get in, before veto. But anyways, so I concur, but I'll add on. Everybody in the room knows something about Tom. I'm not sure that Mark does, so I'm going to share. I want it to be even and fair, right? He has a size 17 shoe, and he's really a phenomenal gentleman. And anyways, and I feel comfortable that you're gonna come along and fill those shoes. So anyways, and I mean that as a compliment to you. You really are an amazing man. And when Vito said therapist, I was thinking IPA type stuff, but anyways, but yeah, just appreciate you and wish you well in retirement. We're gonna miss you. But as times change, I'm happy for you to be at the spot in your life where you and your family can do some things. And anyways, just be curious to see where your handicap goes.
Supervisor Robinson.
Tom, I've only been here a couple of years, but thank you. Does anybody work anywhere for 32 years anymore? Not many. So we're grateful. Also, if you want to go full circle, Kings County's hiring. If not, just consider an EV for your RV. Thank you and happy retirement.
Mayor Preciado.
Just want to congratulate you on your retirement. And I also want to tell you that I respect you. I've seen you work and advocate in Washington, D.C., in Sacramento. And every time I have talked to you, you have shown a lot of knowledge, a lot of interest, a lot of commitment for the San Joaquin Valley. And I just want to say that, like you mentioned, you started as a planner. A planner, I believe that it's a unique profession. Not many out there that actually progress, or actually there are vacancies through the whole state. There's planners 3s and 4s are really rare. But I really commend you for your dedication to make a difference in air quality in the Central Valley. Thank you very much. I happy retirement.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Great work. Thanks to your family. That plaque is symbolic, the power of attitude, the power of focus, the power of relationships. And it's with good reason that that plaque is much bigger than the $8 billion plaque. Thank you.
Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you. Well, Tom, mine's a little bit more simple. Thank you for your service. I didn't get to go to Sacramento and all those different places with you, but we have something in common. I know what 32 years is like. But with my job, my first one, they tacked on an extra 2 years to kick us out and say, go your happy way. Too many years, and let's get some fresh blood in there. So I can imagine that some of the staff that are in here today, some of them may meet that milestone of 32 years. Obviously, you enjoyed working here. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put in that time. And now I'm on my second career of 22 years at this point. So you'll find something, I'm sure you'll find something to do out there for the community, and enjoy your retirement with your family, enjoy your golf, and whatever talents you have to give and share with others, whether it's a private organization or just community work, keep it going. It's good for the mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, this is not an action item, so we don't get to decide to tell you to stay or anything like that, but there is time for public comments, so.
Do we have any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? We have some coming up.
Yeah. Acuna Matata.
Well, Madam Chair, can we call an executive board meeting to reinstate the individual? I know somebody's not going to be happy, but I just want to say from the beginning, when the district was formed, a lot took place in this whole place. I remember Sharon Levy, Supervisor Sharon Levy, with Darren Collegian. The first thing Les Clark, Kathy, and all of us went to, I will support this unified district as long as you save my fireplace in my home. You cannot take away my fireplace. And I always think about that, of what and how far we have come, but the efforts with Tom in DC, the study agency, a huge part of $65 million later, that helped find the research necessary for what we have achieved and what we have done based on this chart. But I remember the meetings with Les Clark and Kathy and Monty Lake and Bill LaForge. And even the trip, and I don't think you were on it when they came here, Monty and his team, and we went to the Napa Valley. I don't know if you were on that excursion with us. You were very lucky. When we got into Richard Mondavi's office, his personal office, sitting in there with Les Clark sitting in his chair having wine, I thought it's over. It's over for us and the research team. But you've done one heck of a job. We've worked hard with you. You've been very professional. You've been there. You understand our industry tremendously. Everybody in Sacramento that I've talked with and people in DC, you've been great. And I know that I mentioned this to Monty Lake, and he remembers some great times we had in DC. And he is saying congratulations on the retirement, well deserved. But again, a dedicated person for 32 years. To be happy to stay working in this industry, especially with the politics in Sacramento and in DC. The challenges are, of course, now coming with the new administration in DC, in Washington and stuff. But you've done one heck of a job, and I know we can't talk about some things, but I know one thing. I was always sometimes put in my place, though, by Tom. No, you can't do that. You can't say that. And so I respected that totally. And I think the Samir, Mark, you'll do a great job. But I think with the team you've had and the board, you will be missed, but we continually moving forward, and you will live on a good life of working and being with your family, enjoying the retirement. And again, thank you so much for everything, and for you being here with us and helping my industry, agriculture, and I don't know if Kevin's going to be on or not, but I know the CAC, not the CAC, but the CAGI group from the beginning of 91. And you guys have been there, and you've been there with us and been to all of our meetings. And again, thank you so much for everything. Be safe.
Thank you, Manuel.
Good morning. My name's Colby Morrow. I work for Southern California Gas Company. And I need to not get verklempt. But, I met Tom in 1997 outside the Trade Center building when my husband started at the Air District. And then I got to know him when I worked at the Fresno Council of Governments for 5 years. And that was just a really great experience. Learned a lot about transportation planning. And I just want to thank you for always taking my phone calls, always returning calls. He's just super good about that. And then I just have to mention, thank you to Aaron Tarango, who got Tom to the hospital after his super serious bike accident a couple of weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have some more coming up in Fresno.
I just wanted to thank Tom for everything you've done personally. I've caused Tom a lot of headaches over the last 24 years, but he's always incredibly gracious and smart about resolving these issues that I usually cause. He also taught me along the way. Start being a little bit smarter about what I do, being a little bit more judicious, a little more thoughtful. So he's really led by example. And I can think of a meeting about 10 years ago where you opened the door and pointed at me and said, "I'm here to take you out for a beer," at exactly the right moment. So Tom's really helped keep me sane. I really, really appreciate everything you've done, everything you've taught me over the last 24 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? We have another one coming up here.
Hi, Tom. My name's Evan Ship, and I was once the supervising meteorologist of this organization. And when I first got here, I always saw Tom walking around the district, and he learned quite a bit there. You know, you were a planner, but he started to have this broad base of knowledge, and not everybody can do that. You know, he never got pigeonholed into any one thing. And I think just wonderful what you did. And then, you know, I always remember his humor when things got really out of hand. And, you know, in the old days, in the 90s, we had levels of PM 2.5 that were 5-6 times the health standard. And he would have a little brevity when a lot of times I was down about that. And I just want to thank you for that cheery attitude and the jokes, the good jokes. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public in Fresno? We have a couple online. The first one, Kevin Abernathy.
Morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Kevin.
Well, Tom, hard to believe, buddy. Been a lot of decades. I want to specifically thank you for your tutelage and your counsel, but more importantly, your friendship. Obviously, the laughs and that Jordan sense of humor that you have. I did send you a picture when we actually test drove the ride sharing program in Washington, D.C., when we tried to figure out how many governing board members and CAC members that we could stuff into a subcompact in D.C. That picture is the one that I took of the side of your face when you were sitting in the car. Oh, my goodness. Good times, my friend. Over the years, between your unicycle and your mountain bike and stuff, can I suggest that you stay away from wheels in retirement and maybe just walk the golf course instead? Anyway, brother, love you to death. Really, really appreciate all that you've done, and God bless you, and have a wonderful retirement. Look forward to maybe seeing you out in Middle Tennessee sometime.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, we have another online, Chris McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Hard to follow up a lot of these testimonials. Tom, I haven't known you since the 90s or since the start of any of these commissions or boards or groups. But I just want to thank you for always being a friendly personality. In my 10 years, you've taken more than enough time to help educate me on all the different rules and processes, whether at local, state, or federal. I really want to thank you for that. It's been immensely helpful for me in my career and helping understand all of these, complex issues and difficult battles that we have to take at all these different levels. I think one of the things I'm most frustrated with is that this group of people that really knows how to get Manuel Cunha fired up on issues is getting smaller and smaller with your announcement of your retirement. But I wish you all the best. Good luck. I hope for low handicaps and a lot of enjoyment with family time and being around friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. No further online comments. Modesto, do you have any public comments?
No comments in Modesto.
Thank you. Bakersfield, do you have any public comments?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you.
Those are the longest I.
That's okay. 32 years. That's good. Again, Tom, thank you. Heartfelt thank you. Obviously, from what we've heard from everybody, you stand in high regard, and we wish you the best in your retirement. I'm sure that's something you've been waiting for a long time. We'll see how Paula feels about it once you're there, but the best to you. Thank you. Yeah. Want us to come down and take a picture now? Well, I was thinking about that. You can hop the desk and stand here. No. Sure. What? Okay. Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Our next item, which is a verbal report on the California Air Resources Board activity. Dr. Pacheco Warner.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Chair. Update, our meeting is next week, and there are a lot of ongoing conversations about CARB-related items at the legislature right now in different committees. So there's a lot pending. I don't have a lot to report other than there's a lot of activity. And also wanted to note that I have connected a couple of folks, both former board members and current board members, with staff at CARB regarding some of the municipality requirements around transitioning fleets. So I want to have that, offer that up to any other board member that has questions around, or their city managers or whoever. Happy to connect folks up. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Executive Director comments.
Thank you. I've got a couple of comments, Madam Chair. Thank you. Wanted to report out really quick on an important trip last week called the Valley Voice trip that actually had several of our board members participating in that trip, where through the Regional Policy Council, we're advocating on a variety of key topics, including air quality, transportation funding, and other priorities. I thought it went really well. It was a very busy with numerous meetings, and wanted to acknowledge the board members that were there, including Councilmember Scudia Brayton, Supervisor Chiesa, Mayor Preciado, and I am forgetting one other board member that may have been there. Help me out here if I'm forgetting. And Supervisor Rickman, I believe, was a part of, yes, he was a part of that as well. So I want to acknowledge all of their time in being a part of that, and just appreciate that ongoing Valley Voice in support of those priorities. I also want to acknowledge and do a special shout out to Jessica Olson, who is here. This is her last board meeting as Director of Community Strategy and Resources. She's the first director of that really, really important department, and helped shape our entire community engagement program, including the AB 617, but just a variety of other. She's actually integrated a lot of that work into everything that we do here. She is going to start a really prestigious executive master's program at Stanford, is where she's heading to. If I may share that. And she doesn't know I'm doing this, by the way. I wasn't about to do that.
She does now.
And then after that is a lot of her family is actually moving over to northern the West Coast to Seattle kind of area. So she'll be kind of moving on to that part of the country. She's just an amazing person to work with, and has done a lot for this agency. I just wanted to thank her for her service and wish her well on behalf of the agency here as she moves on into those really cool opportunities in the future. I just wanted to mention as well that Stephanie Ng, who is, raise your hand if it's a board, maybe stand up so the whole board could see you.
There you are.
She is replacing Jessica in that role, and she's been working under Jessica for some time. Has a lot of experience in community engagement, is doing an amazing job, is already appointed into that role, went through a recruitment process for that. And we're excited to see Stephanie, kind of grow and fill in those shoes when Jessica leaves here in a couple of weeks. So with that, Madam Chair, those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck to you. Couldn't handle 32 years, huh? Okay. Thank you. All right, governing board member comments. Anybody have any comments? Dr. Sheriff?
Yeah, I just want to add my thanks to Jessica for her involvement in the 617 process and making that a successful process, because that has been very challenging, was really challenging to get started. And I think there have been a number of lessons and attitudes that have come out of that have really helped the Air District do a much better job of addressing health, addressing community concerns, seeing the stakeholders as everybody who's breathing our air. So really thank you for that, and good luck at Stanford, and enjoy the Northwest.
Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. Jessica, good luck and congratulations on your working on your new degree. This is nothing board related, it's personal. I may or may not be here at the next meeting. I just was appointed to another board. We're trying to get that meeting changed to a different date or a different time. And also in May, I'll be gone to One Voice in DC from May 13th to May 16th. So I'll be absent from that meeting.
Thank you. Okay, Supervisor Robinson.
Jessica, thank you for everything. Thank you for helping me find my way, even as soon as this morning. Congratulations on your new endeavor. Just to echo a couple things that Manuel had said earlier, just the walk with our farm community, it's a delicate balance. And I always prefer the carrot as opposed to the stick. And also Dr. Pacheco Warner, yeah, I'd like to be on that list. I too have some concerns about the CARB exemptions, and I would hope that those exemptions would include the municipalities as well. Thank you.
Supervisor Mendez.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I mean, in reality, we were lucky to have you the time we did, because when you're married to somebody that's in the service, you're a tumbleweed. And luckily you were able to stay here long enough to have a real, commitment to this district, and you left us well, and thank you very much.
Mayor Preciado.
Thank you. I also just wanna thank you for your service, for your commitment, and also I wish you the best in your new endeavor in life. And we seen you a lot in you and with the new baby, Sacramento, taking care of business, being a mom and being devoted to your role with your district. But also at the same time, I want to congratulate Stephanie on her new position, and welcome to your new role. Thank you all.
Supervisor Pereira.
Thank you. So Stephanie, I have good news. Jessica doesn't wear size 17. It's still pretty big, but anyways, thank you, Jessica, for your time and your service here. I don't know why, but whenever somebody leaves an organization that I'm a part of, it's a pain, right? I don't know, but I'm just super happy for you that it's for good reasons and for a great opportunity for yourself, and family is so important. And so ultimately that's the goal, and good on you for making that choice. And then I want to give a plug out for hydrogen fuel. I've kind of been an advocate for that because one, I don't know, Samir, we need to get the study agency on that. I think hydrogen fuel could be a negative instead of zero emissions. It could be a negative emissions because, the exhaust captures particles. And so anyways, but Merced County, our transportation authority has been gifted a hydrogen fuel short bus. And of course, talking to Samir, there's no fueling stations around here. And so we're trying to work, Transportation Research Center is an autonomous vehicle or vehicle testing center that's at Castle Airport in Atwater. It's a 200-acre facility, and they have some companies that want to test hydrogen fuel cars there or vehicles there. And so we're trying to get some synergy. So just anytime you can advocate for hydrogen fuel, I'd like to encourage you to do that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. All right, well, that is it for our regular session. Council, we have a need for closed session
Yes, we
today?
do have a need for closed session. We have a couple items on the agenda, the set and pistachio Terabella matter, and then another federal court case, Little Manila Rising versus EPA, both of which are indicated on the agenda, and we do need to call for public comment.
Okay, do we have any public comments in Fresno about the closed session items? I don't see any online. Modesto, do you have any public comments on the closed session?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you. Bakersfield, do you have any public comment on closed session?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you.
And will there be a report
And
out?
yeah, I will be reporting out any action taken in closed session. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, folks. With that, meeting adjourned.
Okay, thank you. The court met in close, or the court, pardon me, the board met in closed session. A summary of reportable actions taken in closed session will be provided to the clerk of the board, which will be made available to the public upon request. And thereafter, the board adjourned at 12:04 p.m.